All right, hey amazing human beings. This is Gav with my lockdown hair, and Bikram is not here. Bikram, right now, let's say he's here and also not here, just like the Schrodinger's cat picture that you're seeing. He could be dead or alive. The truth is, he doesn't want to show his face because he's got a lot of bruises and he's got a black eye because he just got beat big time by his toddler daughter in a boxing match, which he is completely embarrassed about. Now he's in the hiding, but he's directing the show from the background. But not to worry, I've already replaced him. He is very dispensable with a world famous football messiah pundit, and this person is on a mission, a lifelong mission to bring Manchester United back, because right now there's a lot of Uniteds, back to its glory days. Please welcome to the show Bhargav Karkar. Last name is very difficult. Alright, so that's here. But let me tell you a little bit more about Bhargav. And he started watching football even before he was born. So he was in his mother's womb, he started watching football, became a big Manchester United fan, and then he had his parents, both of them, really worried because the first words that came out of his mouth were not Ma, but Manchester United. So that was really difficult for them to understand because they're like a simple Gujarati family, but they dealt with it. He's a different person, just like Sheldon Cooper. All right, now it's been 8 really tough years since Sir Alex Ferguson left United, and it's just been really, really difficult. In the next half an hour, please, Bhargav, tell us the blueprint that will bring United back to such a situation that at least by 2024 we can win Premier League and Champions League. So 3 seasons are good enough, right? And let's start with the first question, because I feel the problems for United start in the goal. So do you think is it time already for De Gea to make way for the new person, which is Dean Henderson?
Well, firstly, thanks for having me on the show. I think this is a very interesting question. I think, to be very honest, I don't think De Gea has done too much wrong to be replaced by Henderson. I think Henderson, like all footballers, is an ambitious guy. He wants to be the number one, and kudos to him to make that claim. But I don't think. This is one distraction that United didn't want this transfer window, because there are so many other key important positions that we need to talk and discuss about. This, like, you have 2 great goalkeepers. I mean, ideally this should be a great situation, but to my mind, I think Solskjær should pick one of them as his number one. The other guy has to, if he can, make sure that both guys are happy, that would be my ideal situation. But I don't think so. I think De Gea can stay for 1 or 2 more seasons before Henderson.
All right, so you're saying he is still number one. That's what you're saying, right? For another 1 or 2 seasons. Because it's obviously impractical. We'll come back to De Gea's everything, because it's impractical that Dean Henderson becomes number one and De Gea sits on the bench for £400,000 a week. That is just ridiculous, because that's even worse than the whole Mesut Ozil situation in Arsenal. That is not sustainable. Or the only person who can beat it is Gareth Bale, but that's Gareth Bale's situation, right? So next question, then we're moving on quickly to this. We have had Ole Gunner Solskjaer for a while now, and the thing is that I don't know. I'm not even sure if Ole himself knows. He can't say it, obviously, in the media. But do you think he is the right man? We are also saying realistically who else can replace him, and right now we don't want a situation where Jose Mourinho left and then we restart again. No, if Ole has to leave, according to me, I mean, I'm asking your opinion, according to me, whosoever comes in, they have to take it forward from there, because if you really remember that we won the Europa League and we finished second with Mourinho, then we went backwards and now we're again doing the exact same thing. So do you think he should continue, or somebody else can, like a relay race, just take the baton off him and, take United forward and all the way this time?
Yeah, I mean, see, Ole has done nothing wrong. To be very honest, he deserves 1 more season. So the question is, immediately for the next season, is he the manager? Yes. Only time will tell whether he's the one who will lead us back to the titles, the big ones, either the Premier League or the Champions League. I to be very honest, because he doesn't have this great CV as a manager, I mean, you obviously don't know whether he's the man to lead. But after the Jose Mourinho disaster, he's steadied the ship. There is improvement in the way we play. Fans around the world probably are happier to see the United team now versus what it was under Mourinho. But to be very honest, you said it right. Like, I mean, you don't want a situation where someone comes in, dismantles everything, and starts afresh. That's the last thing we want. So I think Ole should continue for a season. Hopefully, it's another improvement, uh, another year where we get one or two titles. I mean, even if it's not the Champions League or the Premier League, like, can you add something else to the trophy cabinet? I mean, yeah, and close the gap between City and us. I mean, that's just this number two position is to be very honest, is slightly flattering because the gap is still big.
All right, fair enough. Although I'm not going to press you on this thing, but what you said, trophy cabinet without Premier League or this, we already have Europa. So that's kind of confusing statement to make. But one thing I'm going to ask you a question on this thing. Why, as you said, that CV is not great. Listen, I'm okay with that because he's not the only person. There's been Zidane, Pep Guardiola. They didn't have the great CV. There's been Di Matteo also, who won the Champions League at that time. That can happen. My concern was, if you're particularly with this season, you remember that Everton went to the top. And after that, if you really genuinely don't feel you deserve it, what you start happening, you start to panic because you're too far ahead. Then you lose one game and suddenly you just start doubting. Same thing happened to Tottenham, okay, because they're soft. Same thing happened with United, but if you remember, United was in a much better situation than these idiots because we were actually at top at Christmas and in January or something, if my memory serves right. The deal is, after that, we just stopped playing like champions, and that is my concern. If Sir Alex Ferguson or somebody, a genuine champion, not even on CV, if somebody was there, listen, no, you go out there, play, show them who you really are. But what happened to them is like, okay, we are number one, but we don't deserve to be here. And they just, not outright panic, but they just knew that out of their depth, they don't deserve to be there. And that's something, if again we go to the top, if we again start playing like that, it was mental thing, and that's something for a mental part. And I'm concerned that Solskjaer did not actually tell these people or inspire these people to say, like, we are number one, we deserve to be here, we're Manchester United. Instead, we played like a team who was just too shaky, who just felt like we're not supposed to be here, and they fell off. Because you can't expect the same thing happen to Liverpool or Manchester United. Once they're there, Manchester City, once they're there, they're going to absolutely hammer the nail into the coffin, and we didn't do that. And that's something was very worrying for me, and that's something is the most worrying part for me. And again and again, we've lost semi-finals, and just because we went to the Europa League final right now, if you really see all the teams, our team is like much better than these teams. So when the pressure is on you, to perform, then they will perform when they're underdogs. But when they're at the top, they're not able to sustain that. And that was my concern, that will Solskjaer, and I think you're completely right now dropping Solskjaer at this hour, it doesn't make any sense. But again, just giving somebody a petty one season, like, what for? Like, just because we need to now, if you say improvement from second is only first, I really don't see any other improvement. Like, they got 71 points, they'll get 74 maximum. So if they get 77 points, that's not an improvement. Maybe or Solskjaer, but it doesn't matter because we've already got 81 points with Jose Mourinho, and we won the Europa League. Our improvement has to be one of them, at least in the last 3 years. Maybe in the next year you're saying, but we need to come out fighting. Like, we are not second, we're not deserving second. This is like when Roger Federer used to be number one, everybody was just, they also played. We want to fight for it and then lose, like Liverpool lost by a point or something. But we lost this Premier League in January, okay. Once they went on a run, it was just very obvious, and everybody knew that we never going to come back. So that was my worry. So briefly, if you feel you can address that before we move on to the next one.
Yeah, I think you're talking about the mentality, right? I mean, see, both Klopp and Guardiola have been at their respective clubs for 4 or 5 years, like, both of them, and
5 years, yes.
Klopp 4, 5, and they have more or less like a settled squad. Every year they've been adding one or two guys, and they've won things during that course. So I think Ole, if put in the same situation again next year, I feel that the result would be different because he would have learned, the squad would have learned from this year's mistakes. And this season has been very erratic or very weird. I mean, if I can use that word, because there have been, I don't know, at last count, I think there were 7 or 8 teams who have been at the top during the whole course of the season.
Correct. Including Southampton. Yeah.
Correct. So Tottenham, for God's sake, I mean, people are talking about them being the title challengers, like in October or November. I mean,
November, yes.
So I think this season has been topsy-turvy to say the least. But yeah, I mean, to be very honest, I mean, only you will only have the answer to that question when Solskjaer is put in that position again. Till that time, we can all speculate. But I mean, my hope and I wish that he has learned from that situation. And I think more than him, I think the squad has to learn. The squad is not full of winners. Uh, Most of the guys have probably won. I mean, some of the guys who have won the Europa League with United were there for there were with the squad. But apart from that, none of them have like won really major, titles in their career. So I think this Europa League final, if nothing else, can be a catalyst. But as you rightly said, last time we won it and then, we regressed the next season. So there is a risk there. But I certainly believe that Solskjaer would not implode as Mourinho did.
All right, fair enough. I think you're staking your going out on a limb and putting your reputation as a great pundit on the line here. But we'll come back to this thing next year, and we will crap all over if it all comes to nothing. But the next question I sort of overlapped because I just got too emotional. But I think that question is still valid in a different way. Next question was about we winning Europa League and then finishing second. Does that really mean anything? So now I'll twist that in a way that now that we're winning Europa League, do you really think this will add to any kind of real confidence? Because we did this earlier, and now that we're moving forward, does that really mean, I mean, losing is obviously never good, right? But we won this thing before and did not learn anything. So my question right now is, have we reached, I mean, it's a big question, but have we reached is this our ceiling now? Like, and you also said yourself that, oh, next year we can improve, we can win some other, maybe, Coca-Cola Cup or something like Tottenham. So is that become our ceiling? I mean, obviously you will say no, but I mean, what does your, like, objectively think? Because there are certain times there are ceiling, right? Like Tottenham has ceiling. They're losing finals. That's their ceiling. Our ceiling was winning small trophies. As you know, in the spoof that Harry Kane calls Daniel Levy, he says, you know what? He said, we won Coca-Cola, like all the Europa League we were still in. He said, we don't even want to be there. Like United doesn't even want to be in the Europa League. Now this Europa Conference shit is going on as well. I don't know, like, just genuine answer that, does part of you feel, obviously as a fan and as, like, you would not say that it's not, but doesn't a part of you feel this has become our ceiling for the near future? Because that's part of me objectively thinks that our ceiling has become this.
Yeah, if I'm being objective, if I'm being dispassionate, I think unfortunately for the next year, at least for the next season, probably that's our ceiling. Because I mean, I know we are going to talk about transfers and squad and everything later, but like, look at our squad. I don't think you can bring, I mean, you can strengthen your squad in one transfer window to challenge or close the gap between City and Chelsea. I mean, to be very honest, next year I'm worried that will Chelsea overtake us? Will Liverpool come back to its full strength and overtake us? Like, I'm worried that next year if we finish fourth, I mean, I won't be surprised. So it pains me as a fan to say this, but if I'm being objective, this is a breaking point in terms of United's, trajectory in the medium to long term for the next 6-7 years. How this transfer window plays out, because unfortunately for the next season, if something drastic doesn't happen in this window, that's realistically what we could hope for.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Also, I always say, just not your opinion on this thing, but I generally say, like, a lot of people say bye players, but I always say whosoever is in the team, we have a bloody strong team. They need to perform to their potential and rise above their potential. That is something which is important, because that's what happens to all other teams. Everybody just rises. Now, talking about this thing also, one key player, since Ferguson left in 2013, keep saying Ferguson, but we have spent, or let's just say blown, more than £1 billion. Thank you for putting the question up so I don't have to look at the screen, and because I get emotional in between. We have bought players who have flopped outright or never lived up to the billing. Of course, barring Bruno Fernandes, that's completely a notable exception. Now, I'm particularly convinced, we've had this discussion offline, that I'm convinced that we can't have this person, Jadon Sancho, buying for $110 million, because I think around $50 million is reasonable. Also, I feel we already bought Amad Diallo. for the same right wing problem that we have, because everybody wants to be on the left wing and they still can't score. I'm obviously talking about Martial. Now, I rather spend money on Harry Kane, although he'll have no resale value, but we can get next 5 years at least, given his Achilles and the hamstring and any problems happen. But he has a lot of ambition than actually getting Sancho, because case in point is the German superstars Timo Werner and Kai Havertz, who are like amazing, magical, and they've just been struggling at Chelsea at least for the first season. And I do foresee that at the best, I think it's going to be an ordinary signing, and he's going to play well at times, but we're not going to win anything with that situation where people play well at times. We need somebody who consistently like rips you apart. We need Ruud van Nistelrooy. We need Bruno Fernandes. We need Wayne Rooney at his prime. Something like that. Do you think, should we invest? Again, I know realistically, Kane is still out there. He wants to go to City. If you already watched the golfing 1 hour podcast that he did with Gary Neville, amazing. And he was very honest, as honest he can be. Obviously he was diplomatic, but he was being honest about the fact that he was talking about that he wants to go to City. And I understand that after he's been struggled so long, why would he not go to a club which is much more likely to win a trophy, even big trophies, then actually go back to United and again start over? Imagine same thing happens, United finishes fourth, you're like, what the hell just happened? I just left them and now these guys are doing the same thing to me, and then it'll be just too late. What is your opinion? That you just talked about buying more players. Let's talk about big players, at least 3 big in the kitty are Harry Kane. We're looking at 120 million pounds. Erling Haaland, if you buy him this season, we're looking at 150, which is, he's 20 years old, so it's okay. We have the money. Then obviously there's Jadon Sancho, who you personally like and you prefer him. I just feel we have Amad Diallo. He can take a year. He can put in there. I just don't see how Jadon Sancho specifically is going to be a superstar. It's not guaranteed at all. Okay, that's enough.
Okay,
Yeah, you go on. Yeah.
So yeah, lots to unpack there. I think let's just take a step back and see what has happened in the last 15 days. United pinned down Cavani for 1 more year, and from what I've read and what I've heard, United went out of their way, and it was like they offered Cavani everything that possibly you could offer a player to make him stay. Now that he's signed an extension, so United believe that at least that's again another year of stopgap arrangement, and Cavani can do a central striker role. Now, having said that, like, that is no longer priority number one. I'm thinking from United's action in the last 15 days. What has, and coming to, like, then what's the next big player signing that's remaining? So in the striker position, you have Kane and you have Haaland. I don't think Haaland is going to move this year. No one is in this current financial situation, unless like someone offers 5 players and some change to Dortmund and gets Haaland. I mean, that's a different story, but that's unlikely. I don't think Haaland is going to move this year. No one is going to pay £150 when next season the same guy will be available at 75 million. So I think that's we can probably shut shop on Haaland for now. Kane, as you rightly said, for him it'll be a weird thing to come to United because he wants to win trophies, because United themselves are not certain to win any trophies. I mean, so you're right. It looks like he's telling City that come and get me. I'm available. Like, here's your chance. And if that happens, then I worry for the Premier League. Then probably for the next 2 years, I don't know how to stop City. I mean, it's just crazy. And Kane will not even get every game to play. Okay, coming back to Sancho. Sancho has, by the way, Sancho is an English player. He was in the City Academy. He's come up through the English football system, so he knows the English football system. I know he has been playing in the Bundesliga for the last 3 years, and I mean the stats speak for itself. First English player to have 10 plus assists in the top 5 leagues ever, like since David Beckham. So I mean, and 30 plus goal involvements in 3 consecutive seasons. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, there is no English midfielder since Beckham who scored, who had 10 assists or more for 3 consecutive seasons. I mean, and you had greats like Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard. And that guy is 21 or 22, right? So 80 million
Yeah,
pounds for
21.
Sancho. Yeah, 21. So 80 million pounds for Sancho. I think he's one for the future. Diallo can play in the squad for now. Um, I know we signed Pellistri as well, but he's on loan in Alaves. So I don't know what's the plan, whether he'll continue to be on loan. But these guys, both Diallo and Pellistri, both guys are for the future. They're still raw. They'll take some time. If you want to win genuinely anything next season, I don't think Diallo is your answer, and hence Sancho comes in this window. And who knows, next year, I mean, you might get Haaland. I mean, then imagine Sancho and Haaland in the same team. But for this transfer window, I think Sancho is going to be the key man. And if United get him, then it will also impact what other players they sign, because the budget is finite. If you spend 80 million out of that on Sancho, the argument what you're saying is you can forget
That
Sancho
is the
and get.
same thing I'm saying. That is the same thing I'm saying. Nothing is infinite because we pump in all this money on this guy. We miss out. My concern, why I'm emotional about this, we have made fuck ups after fuck ups after fuck ups. Our United has become the fuck up United, and this is going to be another fuck up. I'm really scared about this thing. So they need to be. I don't know ins and outs of it, and you're making a very good argument. I just want to know that they are really bloody certain about this thing, that Jadon Sancho has the balls. Let me say this, that he can come in, and we must try to get somebody else. We can't get Kane. And by the way, that your logic of getting Haaland next season at 75, he wants to come to Manchester United at 75. Everybody would want him. He would go anywhere. So that will not work. If we break bank right now, we can still get him. So I feel, if we can't get others, we should definitely get Jadon Sancho. I just feel if we have a finite amount of money, which we do, if you're putting $110 million on this guy, and this guy 110 million, Bruno Fernandes was 65, right? 60, 65, something like that. So when we put 110 million, that's a lot of money. Sometimes people forget it's $110 million for a kid who has not performed in England, and we don't know if he'll perform. And once the speculation started, he was just not able to perform. It got to his head. Once he comes to United, you know very well that scrutiny is going to be 10 times.
My only argument for that is he has surpassed his or he matched his last season's number. So he started slow. I mean, no doubt about it. His head was turned. He already had 1 foot in United. I mean, from what I've read and what I've heard is he had agreed personal terms with United. So, I mean, of course, he's a young kid. It affected him, but he's more than made up. Like Dortmund is in the Champions League, and a large part thanks to his involvement in the last few weeks. So I don't think Haaland. I mean, we can get Haaland, or anyone can get Haaland this season. Then the next big marquee signing available is Kane. I again don't know whether A, Kane wants to come to United, and B, United will pay 120 million pounds. So then who's the next best thing available in this current season and in our current market? I mean, that's Sancho. And all the reasons I said, he's English, he's young. We paid 80 million pounds for Maguire, right? And he's worked out. Liverpool paid whatever.
Yeah, it worked out, but overpaid, right? Extremely overpaid, but that's fine. But he's a defender. We still want him, but we still not Ruben Diaz or Virgil van Dijk, right? So that is another thing. My point is that also another problem we've had is people come in here because we are buying them, we're paying them a lot of money, but we want people who will put their blood on the line, who will say, this is Manchester United, I will die on the field. That's something we want, and we want Roy Keanes. We just can't have people who just coming in just for like having fun. This is like, you sign me and like for prestige. But we want somebody like when Bruno Fernandes came in, there was one reason he succeeded, because before he came in, he was not giving platitudes like, oh, I like Manchester United and other things. He actually meant what he was saying. His words came alive, because when he was on the pitch, you know that this person will give his blood to this to a Manchester United, and that something did not happen with Paul Pogba, who has even more talent than, generally speaking, like he should have more talent than Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes doesn't even has muscles worse than mine or yours. But Bruno Fernandes, when he comes on the pitch, He is a different player altogether. We want somebody who has balls you can still develop, but right now when somebody comes to United and when you pay $110 million, that you say I'm going to put my blood on the line, that's something we want. And if he fails after that, I'm okay with that. But I'm just sick of people like Paul Pogba with some unbelievable talent who just so prima donnas, Instagram models these people are, clicking pictures. I mean, and then they say like, oh, I'm doing my best. No, you're not. And I just don't want another one of them. I have not seen enough for Jadon Sancho. You probably have seen more of him. And you're right, he's come from English Academy. But where he performed was Dortmund. And in Dortmund, because they give people a lot of chance, and that gives people a lot of confidence. But if he does not perform in 5 games in Manchester United, he will be sitting right next to Van de Beek. And you know what Van de Beek is doing? Picking his nose mostly.
I think we should talk about that as well because it will affect other signings. What do you do about Paul Pogba and what do you do about Van de Beek? Because
we will come back to that, but we can't. Can we do anything with Paul Pogba? Nobody's going to buy him. He wants like £500,000 or something every week now. If you heard the latest news.
So I think he's going to run his contract down. I don't think he's going anywhere. No one is going to pay whatever. 40-50 million pounds.
They're not going to pay. They're not going to pay.
Yeah, so he's going to run down his contract, and then people will save on transfer and give him the money. That's what I think.
So you're thinking next season he'll be here. Next season he'll be here. Then he'll be gone. I think next season we have an like that extension thing, right? We can actually
but
do that
Pogba
extension.
Doesn't want to extend. Last 6 months,
got it.
He's shown no signs of saying I want to extend my contract. If he extends, then he's screwed.
Okay, we'll come back to that. I already have the question for this thing. Let's talk about. I want to talk about the back line. Okay, now we have Lindelof, Maguire, Van Bissaka, and Shaw. But if you really want to win a Premier League, then you need Ruben Dias or Virgil van Dijk, and we have known that in the recent history, right? Because what Ruben Dias did to, people can say Guardiola is amazing and all, but if you remove Ruben Dias, then Guardiola is just not as amazing. Oh, people say Klopp is so amazing. He is. I'm not denying that. But you remove Virgil van Dijk and see what happens. It's like a domino effect. Everything just falls apart, right? Now, I need somebody in the defense. And you say like Maguire is good. But he's only good because we don't have Virgil van Dijk or Ruben Dias. I want to make defense a fortress, right? And we're going to decide, as you earlier said, either De Gea or Dean Henderson. We can't be doing what we're doing right now. One match. And then they drop Dean Henderson because he did not perform in one match. I just don't want, in a goalkeeper situation, this does not work at all. It cannot work. You cannot just be juggling people together. Now, if we need to win, not next season, at least season after the Premier League, we need to have the rock solid defense, and that is the basis of winning the league. And we need to have the confidence that we cannot be a counter-attacking team. Don't answer that part. Just say like, who do you think? Because we have a few players like Paul Torres. His name should be Paul, but I think L got missing or something. Then Rafael Varane is there. Jules Koundé is there. Koulibaly. I personally prefer Koulibaly. People like he's 29 or whatever. Dude, I want Koulibaly. This is the real deal. And then Declan Rice. I just like looking at 100 million pounds of Declan Rice.
So lots of names. I think if Napoli...
You can have some graphic up if you can, Vikram. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, I think if Napoli finish in the Champions League, Koulibaly will stay for one more season. If they don't, then probably he'll be in the market. Napoli will have to sell him because their finances will take a hit. Coming to, I think, what United should... To my mind, I think it's Rafael Varane. He's a winner. He's won everything. He's played at the biggest stage. He's played alongside Ramos. He's played alongside some big players. If you're talking about mentality and blood on the pitch and things like that, he's done it. He's a World Cup winner. What better CV will you get? Like World Cup winner, Champions League winner. Domestic titles. He has done it all, and he knows what happens on the big stage. To my mind, I think Varane is the guy. But again, and good thing is Varane also doesn't seem like he's extending a contract with Madrid, so he is definitely available. But I think we'll have to shell out £43 million for him.
We're looking at £61 million and £86 million. Koulibaly, why I was pressing on Koulibaly because he's the real deal. Koulibaly is coming at 38 million pounds, which is 55 give or take million. So we are saving around 30 million. We can actually buy somebody else really really big, because you know that Koulibaly, he's slightly like, you know, probably getting underrated, but you know, last season everybody just wanted him and people talk about age and all, but trust me, if he's fit and he looks super fit as a defender, if you see Italy, people can play to 40. So I really don't believe in that nonsense that he's 29. I think he's fairly young at 29. This is, if he, even if he gives us five years, that's already good enough for Koulibaly. And Koulibaly is going to be the real deal, and that's why. And by the way, I've not watched Varane. Just because somebody wins the the World Cup doesn't mean he won the World Cup. He just was in a very amazing team who did not even pick Karim Benzema. By the way, Benzema is back. So my deal with it, that you know very well, that when the Papa, Sergio Ramos, hasn't played, he sort of had dropped the ball a few times, Varane, and that has been in the news a few times. Whenever Papa is not playing, he doesn't perform as well. But obviously, you know better. You feel like he can put blood on the line, and he's the real deal. But the money factor does come into play, and there is no reason to believe that Koulibaly will perform less better than Varane. And
Yeah, I mean, so again, as I said, if United break the bank on Jadon Sancho, then probably you won't have enough money for Varane, and then Koulibaly becomes an option. There are some other young defenders going around, but to my mind, I think Varane and Koulibaly are probably. By the way, Koulibaly links have cooled down for some reason, so I don't know whether United are no longer looking at him. But I mean, I've not seen any links in the recent past. I mean, in the last few months, suggesting that United are looking at Koulibaly. But yeah, I mean, to be very honest, if one of those United sign, I think it's a successful sign. I mean,
okay, Declan Rice is out. Declan Rice is out. Sorry to interrupt you. 100 million pounds, which is ridiculous. Jules Koundé didn't talk about, so I don't know if you want to talk about it. But who is this Paul Torres? I recently heard a lot about him, and he's fairly reasonably priced at 30 million pounds, and he's 24.
Yeah, we are going to face him very soon in the Europa League finals.
Villarreal, yes.
Villarreal, yeah. So he's had good season, but
if he beats us, we will have to buy him. That's how it works, right? That's how Virat Kohli performs. You clean bowl Virat Kohli, he gives you 2 million, and then you flop again, and then you never play because he's retired after that.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I think you're right. That could in all honesty, be true. But I think understand a lot of big teams are in the market for centre backs. So it's not going to. And from what I've heard is both Madrid and Barcelona. I mean, although Madrid has signed David Alaba, but if both Ramos and Varane leave, then they will also would like to sign one more.
Ramos not going to leave. Yeah,
that'd be stupid. I think even if he doesn't leave, you need a backup. He's 35, 36 now, so he can't play like 50 games a season. So I mean, you will have competition for Pau Torres. I know. I mean, he's young. He's probably reasonably priced as compared to Varane and Koulibaly. But so it's going to be like a domino effect. So if Varane leaves, then it creates one more space in Madrid, and they will be in the market for centre back. I mean, there are a lot of things happening. I mean, so to my mind, I think he is also. So all top teams have a list for each position. All top teams. So United would have a pecking order. So if you don't get Varane, great, Koulibaly. If you don't get him, Torres. But all these names that we are talking about, if we sign any one of them, I think it's a good sign.
Okay, you never talked about Koundé, because Koundé is 22 and worth is priced I guess $70 million, 50 million pound. He's 22, is in Sevilla. I have not seen him. And that does not reflect very well that post, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've also not seen much of him, but from what reports I've read and heard, I think he fits the bill of a United player. Like of the recent signings under Solskjær wants young player who's for the future. I mean, he has all the attributes, but in my mind, I think in the list that United would have, he will still not be in the top Two.
Got it. So let him be. Let him be. So we rather get Varane or Koulibaly. So I think that's decided. Now moving on quickly to the next one, midfield. The most important thing. So we have Fred and McTominay, but Fred and McTominay are not Modric, Kroos, Casemiro, right? Who's going to win the treble, back-to-back Champions Leagues? Well, they might win back-to-back Europa Leagues, which we don't want. I really don't want that scar on United of winning back-to-back Europa Leagues 3 times, because I don't want it. After that, I'll have to just, do what Gautam Buddha did, and I'll just sit under a goddamn tree and never watch television, just in case I end up seeing a highlight of that treble winning team. Now, I only have 2 on my list, as I've sent you. That Camavinga, who's only 18, he plays for Rennes, and then Jack Grealish for £100 million, that's $141 million. But Camavinga is only £43 million. I like his hair, not as good as mine, but he's competing. 61 million pounds, so it's half the money, more than half. But I definitely cannot be pumping in 141. So this is out. This cannot be. It's not possible. So he's out. Do you have anybody else? Who is Camavinga? Have you seen him play as a midfielder? 61. That's what I'm saying constantly, that when we end up putting all the money on Jadon Sancho, 110 million, we should again bargain, because I don't think anybody will pay. There is no competition, because Kane is a competition, plus he doesn't even want to come to us anyway in the first place. But I don't think who is ready to pay 110 for Jadon Sancho anyway in this situation. So we can bargain just better than what we did last time by ruining everything. But this time we should be able to bargain. We should see our situation, say we have like $250 million to spend, and then at the end we say, okay, we've spent all this money, can we just get a 15 million discount and buy him for like 95 at that situation, which is already too high for me, to be very honest. But try that 90 or something, because at the end I want whosoever we want, we should be able to get reasonable people, because just because somebody is 30 million pound doesn't mean they can't be superstars. We just need to know that do they have the DNA that they can come to England, because England is completely different than Spain, which is completely tactics, and a lot of it's just it's just a lot of skills in those tight situations. But England is more like pressure game, high ball, pressing, and it's very fast. So those different things come in, and then obviously Germany is also similar thing. It just takes a lot of minuscule skills are just much better. And in England you can unfold at times. Also the weather is different, right, than Spain. So although he's from France, so obviously it's not completely different.
Yeah, I think again you have to look at 2 other things before we talk about players. I think we need a central defensive midfielder. We don't need another attacking midfielder.
He's attacking?
So Jack Grealish is, because you put
Jack is definitely is, but I'm ruling him out completely. I can't pay that much money.
Yeah, so I think if United sign any midfielder, before that they will have to sort out Paul Pogba and Donny van de Beek situation. If Paul Pogba, if they say, okay, extend the contract or whatever, run down, he's going to stay this season, then they will have to figure out whether they want to send Donny van de Beek on loan or sell him, or it will be unfair to sell him, to be very honest. But whatever. So I think first Solskjaer needs to figure out what he's going to do with those 2 guys. Then we need we definitely need a central defensive midfielder in front of Maguire and Varane, or Maguire and Koulibaly, whoever that pairing is. We need a CDM in front of them. Unfortunately, that one position is split into 2, Fred and McTominay, and it's taking the attacking or creative sting, because you have one less attacking or creative player on the field. So you need to merge Fred and McTominay into one player, and I think Camavinga is an option. Again, as you said, he's young, he's 18 years old. But to me, I think there are, again, in the list of CDMs that United would have, there are 2 or 3 guys above him. Or should be above him. One is
he's for the bench, right? He's for the bench. Yeah. We want somebody for the bench, right? That's why the bench strength will come back to that. Yeah,
I was talking about the first team. I don't think Fred and McTominay. I think both of those guys should be on the bench and squad. I need one guy to be in the top playing 11. It could be last season West Ham asked £80 million for Declan Rice. Again, they are going to ask for some ridiculous amount. But this time the difference is we have this Jesse Lingard card to play, and we can get something out of there. The only thing, the thing that works in Rice's favor is that he's English. He's played in the Premier League. He knows there is no settling in time, right? So that's the big positive. I mean, that's the big thing in his favor. But if he is out of reach, or West Ham is asking too much, then I think watch out for this guy called Cooper Miners. He plays for AZ Alkmaar in the Dutch league. I think Ajax are going to go for him. He's 23. He was given a captain's armband at 21. He has that attitude. He is a leader, and he, like in the current system that AZ play, he drops in. As soon as the team is in the attacking position, he drops in, and he has the attribute, like he can run box to box. I think if we don't get Declan Rice, watch out for Coop Miners. I don't think a lot of people have him on his list. I think before him there is this guy called Arambari from Getafe and Chouameni from Monaco. So and both of all these guys are young. All of these guys are around 22, 23. I mean, or thereabouts. So these are young players who are doing it well in other leagues, and I think should be on United's list. But top of the list is Declan Rice. Like whether we like it or not, because he's English, he knows the Premier League. So yeah, I don't think Jack Grealish is a question, as you rightly said. I think that discussion is over.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. So I already sent you the list that there are. I think there are at least 68 players that we need to offload. Okay. Now, for me, because our wages are enormous, I don't know, Bikram, it's possible for those player lists to be put up, because I had listed the transfer market, the bunch of players. But either way, you can put up if it's possible. Now, our wages for the last year were 292 million pounds, which is more than $400 million. That includes the wages, the signing, and the agent fee, which we love paying Mino Raiola. And I really want Martial to be sold to Mars United, because I've just had enough. Like, I don't know who has not had enough of Martial, because he's on some ridiculous wages. He gets paid 13 million pounds every year. So for my list is Martial, De Gea if he's not playing, obviously if he's not the first choice, Mata, Matic, Jones, thank you, and then Romero, Lingard and Dalot. So these are my players that we need to sell, because for me, Jones, who I actually called Philingery Jones, I don't know, although unofficially they say you can get 4.5 million pounds for him, but I think right now he's unsellable. I'm going to be laughing my heart out that whosoever ends up buying Phil Jones, he has not played in 16 years. I have no idea why he's still on the books, because they just can't get rid of him, because probably David Moyes signed him for 16 years. Whatever the hell happened. So yeah, off to you, without me getting way too emotional about this thing. I'm really sorry for everybody listening to this thing, but we have gone through pain, and if you're not a United fan, then you don't understand. And if you're a United fan, and if you don't feel the way I feel, then you're really not a United fan. Then you just Bikram, who pretends to be a United fan, and because he's not on the screen, obviously I can give him shit. Okay.
Okay. So yeah. I think one thing we didn't speak about when we were talking about defenders. So I think Maguire, Shaw and Wan-Bissaka. These three positions are filled, but we need a backup for Wan-Bissaka. If he gets injured, or like we have Telles in place of Shaw, but there is no competition or backup for Wan-Bissaka. So one interesting thing that United will have to decide is what to do with Diogo Dalot. If AC Milan don't want him back, what are
they want him? They made an offer for 12 million. Yeah.
Okay.
They should offer more.
Okay, so if they want him and United wants to sell, then United will also have to invest in a right back. And that, two names come to my mind, is Trippier and Max Aarons. Max Aarons plays in the Championship for Norwich. I think they got promoted. He's 21, 22. Trippier, I've heard United have been like in the United scouts like list. They've been scouting him for years. Plays for Atletico.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know
is
whether.
that fair? Sorry to interrupt you. Like, is that even
Right.
possible? Like, United Athletics trying to sell him, like because Atletico Madrid, he's been playing really well apart from that nonsense betting scandal that he had to be banned for like what
Yeah,
8 weeks or some nonsense. But he's been
yeah.
doing very well. And wouldn't there be a big prize on his scalp anyway? How old is this guy, Trippier?
I think he's still in his 20s, probably late
Yeah.
20s.
Again,
But yeah, so my point is
go
we
on.
need
Yeah.
a backup for Van Bissaka. Right now, I have two names in mind. One is Trippier and one is Max Aarons. So we need a backup. If Dalot is not coming back, then we need someone. If Dalot is coming back, he can play. He can be in the squad and a backup for Van Bissaka. Okay, now coming to players who we want to sell. Um, Okay, so I think Dallo is already, I think, as you said, I mean, he's on his way out, so gone. I mean, I'm surprised Romero is still on the books, and I mean,
He
it's
has
still
no
not done.
ambition. I love
Yeah,
Romero. He's an amazing goalkeeper, but he has no
yeah,
ambition. Otherwise, he ruined
yeah.
his Argentina career by just staying in United. They
So
wouldn't even play him. He's an amazing
right.
goalkeeper.
So
Yeah.
I think we should try and get 40-50 million pounds from outgoing players. So one is Jesse Lingard. I don't think it's in anyone's interest for Lingard to be back. I like Lingard. He's a United, kid, been there for years. But I mean, I don't like him being wasted. And I mean, he's third choice at best. So I think it's in everyone's interest that if he goes to West Ham or whoever wants him, I think we should be
No,
fair to
fair enough.
him.
Fair enough. Let him go.
So
Get those
yeah,
20 odd million, whatever.
Lingard,
Yeah.
Matic, Mata, Jones, Romero, Dalo, and there is one more goalkeeper on our books who's on loan, Pereira, Joel Pereira. Surprisingly, I mean, he's also Portuguese. He was someone touted to be like number two for De Gea. I think Mourinho gave him his debut as well, but I think somehow like he's gone off radar. So, I mean, if there is Henderson and De Gea both on the books, I think you don't need Pereira. I mean, you can sell him. Brandon Williams, I think he's a good player. He burst onto the scene, I think, last year and the year before that. I mean, he's third choice. So I think we should loan him out. He should, I mean, at least loan him out, if not sell him, because he's a United Academy kid. I think we should loan him out. Pellistri also, I think we signed him and then loaned him. So again, I don't think he's going to get enough chances in the first team. So again, he should continue to be on loan. So all the players I mentioned, Lingard, Matic, Mata, Jones, Dalo, Romero, Pereira, combine all of that, if we get like 45, 50 million, I think that's great, because you can use that fund to buy all the names that we talked, either a defensive midfielder or a defender, and the
What happened to
rest of the money
Martial?
can. Oh
Did
yeah,
you know?
Martial. Yeah, sorry,
You just forgot
completely.
about him or what? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's out of sight, out of mind. Sorry. So I think Martial, I completely agree with you. I don't think he's ever going to be the player that we hoped he would be. He does not have the desire. I mean, I don't see the desire to die for that United shirt and kill people to score a goal. So unfortunately, and again, I don't think there are enough. United want to sell him at this stage. Although, as much as we want, like, let's sell him and cash in, but I don't think United at this stage want to sell him, or there are buyers in the market to buy him. So, here's how I look at Martial. If he stays, I mean, chances are if he stays, right? I mean, he has to be a backup to Rashford. Rashford over the last few weeks has been injured, so you on the right, on the left wing you have Rashford and Martial. On the right wing you have uh, hopefully Jadon Sancho and Greenwood. Up top you have Cavani, and Cavani and Greenwood also can swap in case he doesn't play all the matches. So I think this would be yeah, I think so. This would be my uh, first team. I mean, again, I've put Dean Henderson for now, but I would not mind seeing De Gea there. But yeah, I mean, this would be my team to challenge and close the gap with City. If we don't sign three players in this transfer window, then it's a failure. Then United is screwed. If we don't sign a right winger, a defensive midfielder, and a defender, then it's a failure.
Okay, so let me just see this team. So Henderson, fine. Okay, I understand. Maguire, Varane, Luke Shaw. So
And it's
Wan-Bissaka,
a
okay, Declan
it's a
Rice and
4-1 diamond formation. I don't like the 4-2-3-1. You're weak. You don't need two defensive midfielders.
Okay, so the Scott cannot play. Okay, McTominay,
Yeah,
okay.
Pogba and Fernandes at the base of the diamond, and Sancho on the right, Rashford on the left, Cavani up top. And
Okay, fair
I
enough.
want Greenwood as the first player to be coming onto the pitch.
Yeah, I really want Greenwood in as well. Okay, I understand everybody can't fit because Cavani has to be, and Cavani is not going to play all the matches. I just want to see the bench now. So, okay, see, as we agree that if De Gea is not going to be the first choice, he needs to be sold because that's where the money is going to come from, 50 million pounds. Okay, anyway, so Victor Lindelof, fine. Eric Bailly is actually very good, but he has never performed. That's one of the things that we've had. Alex, okay, Tanzavi, okay, fair enough. Alex Telles, again, it's time because, I mean, oh yeah, Telles got a bit unlucky there this season. Trippier, Fred, fair enough. Scott McTominay, Ronnie van der Beek, Greenwood, Amad Diallo, and James. Oh, you still have James and you still have Martial. We need to sell Martial. Okay, fair enough.
Ideally,
At the end,
in an ideal world, we've not
who
talked
are
about
these
academy
players?
players. These are academy players that I would like to, see. Elanga, I mean, can play
So
up
many
top as
centre
well.
backs in the academy. I love it. So many back. Like everybody's defensive
Yeah.
now. Go on.
So I think, these are defensive, academy players that I want to see next season. I mean, at least, blooded in the first team. We saw a little bit of Solskjær this season, but I think him and Majbri, I think those two guys watch out for. If they play to their potential, I think they can break into the first team. Coming back to just a last point on Martial. In an ideal world, I think outside of these three players, Varane, Declan Rice, and Sancho, if I had to sign a fourth player, fourth player is either Trippier or Aarons as a backup to Wan-Bissaka. If I had to sign a fifth player, and we need a fifth player, is to sell Martial and get a better striker or someone reply. I don't see Martial outside of a squad player. I mean, in the squad, I don't mind him. In the first 11, day in, day out, I don't think he's the player.
Yeah, fair enough. So this guy is definitely out. So I like your team. See, at the end, it's about going to be like if they actually perform to their potential, and obviously few asterisks that can we even get a couple of people, like for example Declan Rice and other situations that we have. But as a team, and then we need to have the firepower. We at some point in time when if we are doing very well. See, I rather go all out, like just the way Tottenham used to go all out and then not like win the championship trophies. But United is obviously bigger than Tottenham, not just bigger in name, but bigger in squad, bigger in just the players and quality. So if once we're at the top, I don't want to go defensive and then lose. I rather go all out and then they lose is fine. But then once you're at the top and you're still counter-attacking team with like a 32% possession against Man City and Liverpool, you already know you don't believe in it. You have no faith in yourself.
On a side note, Joel Glazer is attending a fan forum for the first time since they took over United, and I think this is the right time after their Super League fiasco that Players Forum should demand that give us 100 million extra in transfer window for your screw ups, no dividends for the next 5 years. Plow that money in building the squad
and fixing the roof leaks that we have.
That's just shameful. We are talking about that for a club like United. That solely falls on the head of Ed Woodward. He's the chief executive. All these like day-to-day things, like
he is leaving the ship.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I think stadium refurbishment and those things. I mean, it shouldn't even go to the owners. I think it should be done at Ed Woodward's level. But to my mind, I think this year, I mean, ideally, these guys should give us
They're
money.
so good looking, man. They're so good looking. I would totally marry them even if I was not gay. Like, look
And
at them.
I
Look at
think
their
that,
hair. Look at their hair. It's just amazing. Like, it's just
and I
so
think
beautiful.
there are 7 of them, if I'm not wrong, right? There are 7 siblings.
Yeah, that's why there's Glazers for Glazers. Everything is like one of them. So it's
Yeah.
well, it's a good thing they're finally going to be back. Okay, we're going to end this. So I'm just going to ask you this thing right off my head. That would you be more surprised if United wins the league in the next couple of years, or would you be more surprised if we don't?
I would be more surprised if they win next year.
What about the next 2 years?
Next 2 years, I don't know. It depends on. See, the I said technically we need at least 5 players to make it a title-winning squad. Now, I don't think 5 players are going to come, or the type of players that we want. I don't think we can sign 5 players. So it will take 2 windows for us to get those 5 players, and after that, assuming that City and Liverpool and Chelsea probably have not strengthened enough in those 2 windows, then we
Yeah,
can
wishful
find.
thinking.
That's wishful thinking, but for us to be challenging at the title without looking at other teams, I think we need two transfer windows to get there. If we can get all 5 players this window, then great, go for it, and it'll be a Frank Lampard situation for Solskjaer. If he gets all the players that he wants, then the pressure is on him. Right now, he can still hide behind the fact that he's not getting all the players that he wants. But the moment he gets all 5 or 6 players, then it's going to be like Frank Lampard. If he doesn't perform, then the screws are going to tighten, and I mean, that's where we are, unfortunately.
All right, fair enough. I'm not going to even broach the subject of Champions League because I think that is completely disingenuous for a Manchester United fan, a genuine Manchester United fan, because that's already looking too far. Because obviously, I know Solskjaer is telling everybody we need to look for a treble for Europa League, and Harry Maguire is like clutching his ankle. He's like, "Listen, can you just win this first, and then we don't even want to win this." All right. We can say big thank you to Bikram, although there were a lot of images which were not correct. But then we don't want to blame him right now because he's in a bad situation. He's actually also unwell.
You gave him so much shit that he's taking it out in you.
Yeah, he is. In reality, he did not get beat up by his daughter. He's actually unwell, but he still showed up today. So a big thanks to that. And right now, I think Lal, I call him Lal. His name is Bhargav. So as you can see on the screen, so Bhargav is sitting somewhere in Toronto, probably in a very illegal area where only the Indian people stay. And they all make all this Gujarati tadka, masala and dals, and so that's why. But his background is very real. He was there. When did you visit United in England?
I think this was 2015.
But yeah, you're still yet to watch a match, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I unfortunately the days I was there were no home games, so unfortunately I had to see Merseyside. I mean, watch a match at Everton. That's the only thing I could manage. But yeah, I mean, next
did United
time
win? Or
no,
did
it was
they even
not
play?
United. It was
Jesus.
Everton Chelsea.
Chelsea
there was
won.
some scheduling fuck up that United weren't playing in those 4 or 5 days that I was there.
All right, fair enough. So this is the first time that we had Bhargav on with us, and I think it was pretty good. And that is not just to say, because obviously you've not done the podcast before, but obviously you're very adept with camera and everything. That's because you've been obviously taking a lot of meetings and everything. So thanks a lot. Hope to see you again, and but not until next year, because most of our prediction will just come back and bite us in the ass, because most of the people will not join United, and United will continue to be Europa League champions, which might not also happen. By the way, last thing, do you think we'll win the Europa League on Thursday?
We should. I don't
What
know
are the chances? 50-50, 60-70?
I
60,
would
70
say
is not a real term.
55-45.
My God, you really love Villarreal.
Yeah,
because Maguire is not playing. Is that why you're saying that?
Maguire, and there are some other injury concerns that I'm hearing. If we get a full fit squad, then it's 70-30 to United. If Maguire is not there and 1 or 2 other players are not there, then it goes to 60-40 or 55-45. You see, we are sleepwalking into the final. What the hell is happening?
Yeah, I know. We've taken 1 point in the last 3 matches in the league.
There is zero momentum. There is no momentum. And in the last game of the season against Wolves, I think we are going to again play some second or third team, there'll be absolutely no momentum as we go into the final. And
Wolves coach is leaving
by the way-
anyway, so it's going to be last
By
match.
the way, Villarreal will get an extra day of rest because the Spanish league preponed their last round of matches to Saturday instead of Sunday.
Just to mess up with United.
I mean, that's the conspiracy theory, but no, I think they had some other reasons. But so they'll get an extra day of rest, and there is no Maguire. So it kind of, makes the odds a little bit, even. I mean, I would still not say even United with the quality of the players that they have. They should win. But, I mean, it's Unai Emery who's won it for, I don't know, 10
Fucking
times.
that guy.
I mean,
that guy.
he's the
But we
Europa
beat him.
League
We were the
specialist.
people who beat him, right? We beat him, right? We beat him. But that was Jose Mourinho. That was not serial, let's not call him a loser. But yeah, it was not Ole Gunner
Fingers
Solskjaer.
crossed. Looking forward to the final. Hopefully, we end the season on a high and come back strong. And by the way, one thing we didn't, sorry, just last 30 seconds. This transfer window is going to be really, interesting because 15 days before the Euro, that's the window where some activity will happen. Then the Euros will happen. There'll be no activity. Then players will go on vacation for 2 weeks, no activity. So last 15 days and first 15 days, those two periods of the transfer window is where all the action is going to be. So again, watch out. Or everything will be compressed in those two buckets. Although it looks like a 3-month transfer window, in reality, it's not.
All right, sounds fantastic. Hopefully, we get Harry Kane and all the best players to United, including Kevin De Bruyne. And I'm just bullshitting completely. All right, take care. Have a good evening. Have a good rest of the weekend. Thank you, Bhargav.
Thanks for
Take care.
having me.
Thank you, Bikram.
Bye.
Absolutely, we'll have you again. Take care. Bye bye. All right.